One of these crochet hooks costs $1.25 and the other costs $40. Is the $40 one actually better? Let's find out. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have kind of a fun video for you guys. If you are subscribed to my channel, you might have seen a few months ago I posted a 5 Below crochet kit versus a Woobles crochet kit. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. I will have it linked in the description below. But you guys seemed to really like that and it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun chatting with you guys in the comments about your opinions and which one you thought was better. So today we are doing something very similar, but instead of testing crochet kits, we are going to be testing crochet hooks. There are so many crochet hooks on the market. They range from really cheap to very expensive. And once you start crocheting, you kind of find your tools that you like. But until you do, it's kind of a guessing game of testing out different hooks and testing out different brands to see what you like. But at the end of the day, you can make the same crochet project with low-end materials, high-end materials. You don't have to spend $100 to make a crochet project. So that is why I'm going to be testing out a affordable crochet hook versus a luxury crochet hook. Both of these hooks are the same size so that we can do a little crochet test and see the difference in how our projects end up with both of these. But other than that, I am going to be rating these based on their feel while crocheting, if they're ergonomic or not, how the project ends up, if there's any problems with it snagging or anything like that, and which one feels the best to crochet with. So without further ado, let's get into the video and I will give you a close-up of both of these hooks. Before we get into the crochet hooks, I wanted to show you guys something that will fit the theme of this video perfectly. Finding those luxury feeling items that don't completely destroy your budget. I placed an order with ShopLC and had to show you guys these pieces. The jewelry has that really elegant high-end look, but at very approachable prices, which feels very on brand for today's affordable versus luxury comparison. Personally, I've been wearing their pieces for months now, and what has stood out to me is just how good the quality is. It gives that elevated luxury vibe without feeling ridiculously expensive. And another thing that I love about ShopLC is their give back program called Your Purchase Feeds. Basically, every purchase provides meals to children in need, which makes gifting feel a little bit more meaningful. If you want to check them out, you can use my code SAVE26 for 26% off your order, which makes these pieces even more affordable. So if you're looking for a gift that feels special and thoughtful without spending luxury brand prices, definitely check them out. I will have everything linked in the description below. Now let's see if our affordable crochet hook can stand up to our luxury one just as well. Let's start with our affordable option. This crochet hook is from the Dollar Tree. It was $1.25, and I was pleasantly surprised by how much crafting stuff they had at the dollar store. They had plenty of hook options. They had tons of yarn. It was mostly Premier yarn. I'll insert a clip here so you can see what my dollar store looked like stocked. But they had knitting needles. They had tons of crafting supplies, so if you are on a budget but you want to start crocheting, the dollar store is a wonderful place to check out because, like I said, this was $1.25, which is a great deal for a crochet hook. They had tons of different sizes. I actually picked up a few options just because I didn't know what hook size I was going to go with for this video. So they have two different kinds of hooks. They have these ones that have the metal hook and the base part is plastic, but it is more of that like ergonomic design. And they also have fully plastic hooks if you do not like the metal ones. So for these 5 hooks, I only spent $5, which is a great deal. Today though, we are going to be looking at the 4.5mm hook. So let's open this up and do a little closer look. As far as packaging goes, obviously it's quite basic. It is just in this little cardboard paper packaging, but nothing wrong with that. Here is our hook. So as you can see, we have our aluminum hook at the top, and then we have this plastic handle. It has the size right on it, 4.5mm, and it's this nice teal color. As far as looks go, this looks pretty promising. It looks just like a normal hook. It is a tapered hook. I don't know if you can see that. That'll all be on personal preference. I prefer tapered hooks because I think with the inline ones, my yarn tends to get a little stuck, but just from a viewpoint, this looks very promising. Now for our luxury crochet hook. This is from Furls. If you are a crocheter, you've probably heard of them. This is a lot of crocheters like ride or die hook. They will only use these hooks. This is specifically from their Odyssey line. Now, this is not the most expensive hook that they have on Furls' website. They actually have some wooden ones that are upwards of like $130, which is insane, but I kind of understand because I'm pretty sure they are like handcrafted and stuff. This is a metal hook as well. I didn't go the wooden route because I knew the other hook that I had was not going to be made of wood, so I wanted them to be fairly comparable. So let's open this up and let's see what we got. As far as packaging goes, this comes in a very nice branded Furls box with Odyssey on the other side, which is what the crochet hook is called. And inside, our hook is in a plastic little bag. And here is our $40 hook. This one also has the metal top. I'm not entirely sure what the base is made out of, if it is plastic or what, but it obviously feels a lot nicer. We have the Furls logo engraved onto the hook as well as the hook size. These hooks are obviously made with the larger base to be ergonomic, and these hooks are inline hooks, so they have the different little hook head. If you don't know the difference between a tapered or an inline hook, I will try to show you both of these next to each other so you can maybe see. Our Furls hook is our inline hook. They have a deeper mouth groove and a more pointed tip than the tapered ones. As you can kind of see right here, it cuts deeper in, and this one is more shallow. Again, it's going to be personal preference which one you prefer. I tend to prefer tapered hooks. I feel like inline hooks is just a little too deep sometimes and my yarn ends up getting caught in there, but we're going to try it out and we're going to see, because maybe one at this price point is a little different than some of the inline hooks that I've tried. So let's do a little comparison just based off of looks of these two. Obviously, when you have these next to each other, the Furls hook looks more luxurious. It looks like it is more expensive, because it is. So you are definitely paying for the look of the hook as well. I have used a Furls hook before. This is the one that I own. It is one of their resin hooks, so there's no metal. This entire hook is made out of resin. I liked it. I wouldn't say that it is a hook that I reach for very often, just because I think, which we will get into when we do the crochet testing, but I think Furls hooks are more intended for people that hold their crochet hooks like this. There's the age-old debate of if you hold your crochet hook with a knife grip or a pencil grip. I'm a pencil grip person. Here's like one of my hooks that I use often, for example. I like when they have these more flat grips so that I can hold it like this and I crochet like that. That's not to say that this doesn't still serve its ergonomic purpose, but I find that when I use these hooks, I end up holding it a little bit higher, so I don't know if it actually defeats the ergonomic purpose or what. I think for people that hold their crochet hooks with a knife grip, it would probably make more sense, because if I was holding it with the pencil grip, I would have to hold it down lower, and then I don't have as much control over my hook. Again, that's probably just personal preference, which is why you kind of need to try out a bunch of crochet hooks when you're beginning to see what you like and what you don't like, because you are going to be crocheting for hours on end sometimes, and you need a hook that is going to support your hand movement and is going to feel comfortable so that you don't end up injuring yourself or overworking your joints. But let's get into doing a little crochet test with some yarn, because I think that is going to be the true way that we determine which crochet hook is the winner. For the crochet test, I am going to be using the same yarn for both hooks. This is Big Twist Value yarn. It recommends using a 5mm hook, but I think we will be fine using a 4.5mm hook. I'm going to make a granny square, I think. I think that'll be the best way to determine. I'm going to do a mixture of different stitches. I think I will do my first round in single crochets, my second round in half double crochets, and my third round in double crochets, just so that we can actually see the difference in each of the stitches. And I'm going to start with a magic ring so that we can see how it works with that as well. We're going to start with the dollar store hook, so let's get going. Starting with my magic ring, no problems there. I'm going to do like a pseudo granny square because I want to switch my stitch each round so that we can get a better understanding of how each stitch looks with the hook. So I'm going to do single crochets for my first round. So far so good. It feels very smooth. The yarn is not getting caught or snagging anywhere. Here is my first little round of single crochets. So far so good. There's been no problems. It's been quite smooth. For my next round, I'm going to do half double crochets. I'll show you what it looks like at the end of all of my half double crochets. Here it is after my half double crochet round. Once again, everything looks normal. Now I'm going to do a third round in double crochets. And here is my final little granny square, made with the dollar store hook. Here are my immediate thoughts for the dollar store hook. Here is how our little square turned out. I am not mad at this. I think it looks very good. This hook worked really well. I had no issues with my yarn slipping. I had no issues with it splitting or anything like that. The only thing that I will say about this hook is because this base part is made of plastic, it's not very grippy. So I found that while I was crocheting, my hand would slip, which obviously is not great because then you have to readjust your grip every couple stitches. But taking into account that this is only $1, I think it's a great option. I like this style of hook because, again, like I've said before, I crochet with the pencil grip, so this works really well for that. I think even if you did crochet with the knife grip, this would still work. I don't know if it would be as good. I'm not a knife grip person. Overall, I really liked this. I think the stitches came out pretty evenly. Again, I did single crochet on our first round, half double crochet on the second, and double crochet on the third round. So I think my stitches came out pretty even. There wasn't really any issues, so very happy with this. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5 just for the slipping problem. But I think if you're on a budget or you're wanting to get into crocheting but you're not sure if you are going to enjoy it and you don't want to invest a lot of money into it, this is a good option. Works perfectly fine. I like that it's the aluminum hook on top. And once you get into crocheting, everyone's going to find their own brand and their own hooks that they like best. So this one was super light, it was easy to work with, and there's not really much else that you could hope for a crochet hook. Now let's go try the luxury, our $40 crochet hook. Okay, now it is time to try out our Furls hook. We are going to be using the same yarn, same pattern, but this time with our luxury $40 hook. Once again, starting with my magic ring. This hook is definitely heavier off the bat. And again, it's an inline hook, so it's going to kind of hold the yarn a little bit deeper. Okay. Well, my yarn split a little bit on that, so let's redo that. It's always a learning curve trying to figure out how to crochet with these hooks because, like I mentioned earlier, I think they're meant for people that crochet with the knife grip like this. I'm a pencil grip person though, so it's always a little bit of a learning curve when I pick up my Furls hook again. Okay, better that time. And we're gonna keep going. Oh, lost my yarn, okay. Even though it's in line, it feels like it's not grabbing the yarn like it should, which might just be how I'm holding my yarn, but it's an interesting observation off the bat. Obviously, I am crocheting a lot slower because I'm trying to figure out the best way to hold this hook. Obviously, when you're spending a lot of money on a hook, you want it to feel heavier, but it's kind of a lot of back weight when you're crocheting. It's like dragging my hand down, which is kind of hard because then it's like I'm getting a workout while I'm crocheting. Okay, we're getting in a groove here. And now we're gonna slip stitch to join. I will say the nice thing about these kinds of hooks is that they are pointier. So when you're inserting the top of the hook into stitches to like slip stitch or something, it's a lot easier than with the more rounded hooks. Here is how we are looking after our first round. Off the bat, looks wise, pretty similar, maybe like slightly neater. But you also saw how slow I was crocheting and how much I kind of struggled through that. So I'm gonna go on it to my next round, which is going to be a half double crochet round. Again, this round is going to be half double crochets. I will say my hand is getting very tired from the counterweight of the bottom of the hook, which is where I think with the resin hooks, it's not as big of a thing because they are lighter all around. Here we are at the end of our half double crochet round. My hand is starting to like cramp up a bit just because of how heavy the bottom of this hook is. So for the sake of this experiment, I'm still going to keep doing it in the grip that I usually do. But I do think if I were to use this hook in the future, I would have to switch to the knife grip because it is just way too heavy of a counterweight that's like dragging my hand down as I'm crocheting. But let's go on to our double crochet round. As far as inline hooks go, this is one of the better ones I've used. The yarn is not getting stuck. It sometimes slips out, but that might just be how I'm holding my yarn. I'm changing my grip for one little section of stitches just to see if this feels any better. Obviously, I'm not super comfortable doing this grip because it is not the grip that I usually do. It definitely counters the weight a bit better. Okay, I just finished. And here is my granny square from our, I don't know if this is gonna stay, from our luxury crochet hook. Okay, immediate thoughts on the Furls hook, the luxury crochet hook. I kind of talked through a bit while I was doing my little granny square, but here is our final square. I think it turned out pretty good as well. I will say some of these stitches, especially along the edges, just aren't super even, but that could have also just been how I was crocheting. Immediate thoughts. These hooks are good for a very specific niche group of crocheters. If you like the inline hooks, if you are a knife grip, you will love Furls hooks. They will probably work really well for you. Personally, for me, these hooks end up being a bit of a miss. The inline on this one was actually not that bad at all. I generally don't like inlines because I feel like my yarn gets caught, but that did not happen on this one. There was actually a few issues where my yarn was falling out of the hook, but again, that could have just been how I was crocheting. I think it worked really well. These are slightly more pointed, which actually works in your favor if you are trying to, you know, put your hook into a tight stitch. So when you're like slip stitching to the beginning of a round or something like that, these work really well for that. Now, I am a pencil grip person, like I just showed you with the other hook. I hold my hooks like this, and with this, you can still hold it that way, but the bottom of the hook is so heavy that it like was dragging my hand down as I was crocheting, which obviously you don't want. Like it was pulling my hand down, and I think each of these squares took me 10 minutes to make. after 10 minutes of crocheting to make this square, my hand and my wrist were just cramping and hurting. So, I mean, that docks it a bit because there's no way I could crochet with this hook for a long time without it seriously hurting my hand. The way that it's designed, all the weight is in the middle of the hook, which again, if you were crocheting this way, that would probably be helpful. But when you're crocheting this way, it literally felt like I was like working against the hook to crochet. And it almost felt like I was getting a workout, like I was lifting weights while I was crocheting, which actually is an interesting point. So I want to go weigh these two hooks to see where they fall, because this one's super light. Like it feels almost like nothing. And this one is heavier, which generally is good. You would want something that you pay $40 for to feel like heavy and nice and worth the money. But when it's something like this, you kind of don't want that weight working against you. You want it to be more light and easy to move so that it's not negatively impacting the way that you're crocheting. So that was unfortunately a big miss. And I do think I showed you guys earlier that I have used the resin furls hooks, and I never had that issue because these are pretty light. They're made out of resin. So it was never like a comfortable grip, because again, I think these are made for like the knife grip, but I never had the like countering weight that was like dragging my hand down. We are going to weigh these crochet hooks because I talked about how this one was kind of dragging my hand down and felt like it weighed a lot. So I want to see what the difference is between these two. And then just out of curiosity, I am going to weigh the hook that I use all the time just to see where it falls on the scale. So let's start with our dollar store hook. Okay, 7 grams, not too bad. Now let's do the furls hook, and this one might roll around, so I gotta figure out how to place it. 25 grams, wow, okay. So it's over 3 times as much weight as this one. But now let's see what my preferred crochet hook weighs. 13, so in the middle of the two, but more towards the dollar store one, which makes sense because this one feels super light. Like even if I just drop it a bit, you could probably hear the difference. It like bounces because it's so light. This one is so heavy. Obviously a gorgeous hook and feels super luxurious and amazing, but sometimes that's not what you want when you're crocheting. But it worked well. It was smooth. The yarn glided well on the hook, and it made a nice product, obviously. Here's both of them together. Here is the dollar store granny square, and here is the Furls granny square. So both obviously look very similar. You can't go wrong using either hook for a project, but you obviously want those certain things like ease of use and how long you're going to be able to crochet with your tool, and all of those things are very important when you're crocheting. So with that said, I'm going to give the Furls a 3 out of 5, which sounds mean, but I think one of the biggest parts about crocheting is avoiding injury and avoiding wrist fatigue and hand cramping and all of those things. So for my hand to already be hurting and cramping after 10 minutes of using this, that's not a great indicator of a great hook. Now I did crochet with this one second after crocheting with this one, so it could just be at that point I was 20 minutes into crocheting, but I'm a very seasoned crocheter and I can crochet for hours on end without my hand usually cramping up like that. Here are our granny squares right next to each other, so you can kind of see and tell me which one you think looks better. Honestly, hate to say it, but I think the dollar store one looks better. This one, just some of my stitches have a lot of like inconsistency around the edges, and this one just looks more consistent all around. But let me know what you think, and let's talk about final thoughts on these crochet hooks. Performance-wise, they both worked really well. The yarn glided well on both of them. There was not really any issues of yarn slipping or the yarn getting stuck or anything like that. So they both get a 5 for that. Quality-wise, this one obviously looks and feels a lot more luxurious. This one feels pretty cheap. It's got the aluminum top and the plastic handle, and this one's definitely made of much more high quality materials, which is nice if you want your tools to look and feel nice. So Furls wins on that. But the overall feel of the hook crocheting, I'm gonna have to give it to the dollar store one. I think at the end of the day, having a lighter hook that your yarn still glides through and everything is important. It's important to me. So that wins. This one, while it is a gorgeous hook, was a little bit too heavy for me. So now the dollar store hook is a good hook to start with, but I don't think that these would be the best set of hooks to have for a long time. I think this would be a good starting place if you're just learning to crochet and you don't want to put a ton of money into it. That's a good place to start, but I do think there are better tools out there that are also not that expensive. I think the set of hooks that I crochet with every day, all the time, was from Amazon, and I think I got a set of like 15 hooks for like $20 or something, so it's probably very comparable price point if you go by hook, and those are like my favorite. They work really well. These came from Amazon. They have the more rubber grip so that your hands don't slide as you're crocheting. They are aluminum at the top. They have this slight ergonomic design on them. It's very similar to the dollar store one, but just rubber instead of plastic, and these are my favorite hooks. I use them all the time and they never make my hands hurt. They're light, like I said. So there's definitely tons of options out there. I'm gonna link a few that I like in the description below so that you could maybe check them out. And they're pretty similar price point to the dollar store one. You just get an entire set of hooks instead of one hook. So overall winner, I'm gonna give it to the dollar store. I know that might be shocking. Maybe it won't be shocking. I tend to actually like some of the more cheaper materials and stuff. I think you don't have to spend a ton of money to learn to crochet or knit or something, and it's all about what you're making as your final product. As we found out, these squares turned out very similar, and you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference if I mixed them up and tried to show you both of them separately. So at the end of the day, that's what matters most, is the end product and the way that you feel making it. Obviously, as I said before, crochet hooks are a very personal thing. You're gonna find a hook that you love and someone else might hate that hook. Someone else might love a hook that you hate. It just is what it is. So this is just my opinion. I know so many people that swear by Furls hooks, and I think that's amazing. My little sister even loves these. So they definitely have a very dedicated fan base. But for some people, the more basic hooks work better, and that is what it is. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you tend to like the more cheap crochet hooks, or do you like the more luxury, expensive crochet hooks? And let me know which one you think performed better after this whole video. Don't forget to check out ShopLC for all of your jewelry and gifting needs. Use my code SAVE26 for 26% off your purchase. I will have the link in the description below. If you want to keep up with everything that I am making and doing, make sure you're following on my socials. I will have them linked in the description below as well. And let me know what I should test against each other next. Should we do luxury yarn versus dollar store yarn? Should we do a dollar store crochet kit? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.